The quiet one. When Grace Morgan first saw the old Victorian house nestled on the outskirts of Millfield, she saw potential. A fixer-upper with history, charm, and just enough creaky floorboards to give it character. Locals called it the Wexley House, but never with fondness. They'd say things like, "It's best to let old places lie," or "That house doesn't forget who lives in it." Grace was a practical woman, a second-grade teacher, recently divorced. She wasn't superstitious. She believed in peeling wallpaper, foundation cracks, and the occasional raccoon in the attic. But not curses, not ghosts. She was just trying to start over. For her daughter, Lily. For herself. Lily, at 8 years old, had fallen in love with the place instantly. She called it storybook spooky and ran laughing through the dusty hallways, pretending to be a princess trapped in a tower. Grace smiled. Kids saw magic where adults saw problems. The house had 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, a winding staircase, and a small wooden door no taller than Lily in the corner of her new bedroom. It looked like a doll's entrance, maybe a crawl space, maybe nothing. Grace made a mental note to keep it locked. Old houses meant old hazards. Their first night passed with the typical chaos of unpacking. Boxes everywhere, the Wi-Fi still not set up, and no hot water yet. Lily fell asleep fast, curled under a thick quilt. Grace stayed up a little longer, organising the kitchen. That's when she heard it. Footsteps. Soft, quick and deliberate, not like a house settling, like someone walking. She crept upstairs, heart thudding. "Lily?" she whispered. No answer. Her daughter's room was dimly lit by the moon. Lily was sitting on the floor, wide-eyed, clutching something in her arms. $1. It was porcelain, delicate, dressed in a lacy, time-worn dress. Its curls were tangled. One glassy blue eye was cracked. It looked old, wrong. "Where'd you get that?" Grace asked, voice tight. Lily pointed to the little door. "She was in there. She said she's mine now." Grace's blood chilled. That door was locked. "She opened it for me." Grace took the doll gently from Lily's arms. It was cold, colder than the room, and its painted-on smile seemed sharper up close. She placed it on the windowsill. "Let's leave Mabel here for now, okay? She looks fragile." "Mabel," Lily repeated, as if the name had always been known. "She likes me best." That night, Grace couldn't sleep. She kept hearing whispers, just out of reach, like someone humming under their breath. Around 2 a.m., the bedroom door creaked open. Grace sat up, clutching the blankets. No one there. She rose, walked the hallway, checked on Lily. The doll was back in her arms. The next morning, Grace put Mabel in the hall closet, wrapped in an old towel. She latched the door and told Lily it was for safekeeping. That evening, the doll was on the windowsill again. And that was only the beginning. It started small. Lights flickering, doors opening and closing, cold spots in the hall. Then came the laughter, soft, girlish, echoing faintly from inside the walls. Grace searched every inch of the attic and crawl space, but found nothing but cobwebs and rot. Lily's drawings changed. Once filled with sunflowers and ponies, they now showed dark trees, red skies, and a pale girl with hollow eyes. Always the same girl. Always alone. Except for the doll. "Who's that?" Grace asked one morning, studying one particularly disturbing drawing. "That's who Mabel used to be," Lily said simply. "Before." Grace's stomach turned. "Before what?" She said it hurts to remember. Grace brought in a priest, desperate and skeptical. Father Brennan walked into the house and immediately went pale. He stood in the living room for less than 5 minutes before backing out. "You need to leave," he said. "That thing. It's old. It doesn't want you here." "But my daughter, she's already been marked. Whatever it is, it wants her." Grace tried to laugh it off, to pretend none of it was happening. But every night Mabel returned. Every morning Lily seemed less herself. She stopped eating much. Her voice grew monotone. Her eyes didn't sparkle anymore. One morning, Grace found scratches on her mirror. 3 long marks, perfectly straight, like fingernails dragged through glass. Beneath them, scrawled faintly in the condensation, were 2 words. Help me. Grace made a decision that night. She waited until Lily fell asleep. She grabbed Mabel from under her daughter's arm, ignoring the sudden cold in the room and the whisper that brushed her ear. You shouldn't have done that. She stuffed the doll into a shoebox, taped it shut, and drove 10 miles to a bonfire pit near the lake. She dumped lighter fluid onto the box, lit a match, and watched it burn. She waited an hour. Smoke curled up into the cold night air. She returned home exhausted but relieved, until she opened the front door. The doll was sitting on the entryway table, pristine, grinning. Lily grew more distant. She stopped calling Grace Mom. She whispered constantly, to no one visible. When Grace leaned close, she could sometimes catch phrases, chilling little things like, she doesn't like the priest, or she wants to be real again. One night, Grace walked past Lily's room and heard 2 voices. Not pretend play, not imagination. One was Lily's, the other was high-pitched, deliberate, and didn't belong to a child. She's getting in the way, the voice said. You know what we have to do. I know, Lily whispered. Grace backed away from the door, heart racing. The next morning, every mirror in the house was shattered. Every single one. Grace tried to take Lily and leave. She packed bags, pulled the car around, and got Lily dressed. But when they approached the car, Lily screamed. Not a tantrum scream, a piercing, blood-curdling shriek that split the morning air. She can't leave, Lily howled, eyes wide with terror. She'll punish us. And then she collapsed, just dropped like a puppet with its strings cut. When she woke up, she didn't remember any of it. That night, Grace boarded up the little door in Lily's room. She placed salt around the windows. She tucked the doll into the trunk of her car and parked it 3 blocks away. Then finally, she slept, or tried to. At 3:14 a.m., Grace awoke to the sound of humming, that same broken lullaby. She bolted up. Her door was wide open. Footsteps padded slowly down the hallway. Grace grabbed the bat by her bed and peeked out. Lily was standing in the hallway, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She came back, Lily whispered. Behind her, a figure emerged. Not Lily, not human. Mabel, not the doll, but a girl now. Full-sized, limbs bending wrong, eyes too wide, mouth twitching with each step. Her skin was cracked porcelain. Her smile, painted on and yet alive. Mine, she hissed. She belongs to me now. Grace screamed and slammed her bedroom door. She shoved the dresser in front of it. Mabel says you should leave, came Lily's voice from the other side. Lily, please, Grace sobbed. That thing is not your friend. She loves me. You don't. The voice wasn't Lily's anymore. It was layered. 2 voices, one over the other. One of them, not alive. The lights shattered. The door creaked open, even with the dresser still pressed against it. The room filled with cold. And Grace faded into nothing. The next morning, the police responded to a wellness check after the school reported Lily absent. They found the house in perfect condition. No sign of struggle, no broken glass. Just a child at the kitchen table sipping from a pink plastic cup. Where's your mother, sweetheart? Asked the officer. Lily smiled, eyes wide. She went away. Mabel said she didn't want me. The officer gave a gentle nod. Who's Mabel? Lily turned to the chair beside her. A doll sat neatly upright. Perfect white dress. Porcelain curls. Painted lips curled in a soft, cold smile. The officer felt a sudden chill despite the sun. And from somewhere deep in the walls of the house, laughter echoed faintly.